Hey, what is up guys, Fantrake here, back with another video, and today we're going to be learning how to create a starry night in Blender. So let's get right into it. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is go to my shading tab, and I'm going to set my viewport to rendered mode. By default, it should be on Eevee, and it will work in both Eevee and Cycles, so you can use whichever engine you prefer. Down here in my node editor, I'm just going to set my shader type to world, and this way we can edit our background. So I'm going to start by creating our stars, and we need just two nodes for it. We need a Musgrave texture and we need a color ramp. So we're just going to connect them both, connect the height to the factor, and then connect the color to the background. And as you can see, we can visualize our Musgrave texture, but it's not quite looking like stars. So the way we're going to make it look like stars is we're going to increase our scale. Values around 100 are the ones that work best for me, so I'm just going to set it to 107, whatever, it doesn't have to be exact. And then here in our color ramp, we're just going to push the blacks up, and as you can see, we get stars. Pretty simple. But then this is just for stars. As you can see, we don't have any kind of background color or anything. It's looking very plain, so I'm gonna be adding that too. So remember to have the node wrangler add-on turned on in Blender, and that way you're going to be able to follow the tutorial fully and do all the organization stuff that I do. It's always important to organize our node, so I'm just going to create a frame for this guys using Shift P, and we created a frame, and we just hit F2 to rename it to stars. Great, so now it's organized, it's looking pretty. So now we want to add like a little top to bottom gradient of color to a background, and the way we're going to do that, we're going to use a few nodes. And we're going to use our texture coordinate node, we're going to use our mapping node, and we're going to create a separate XYZ node. Okay. And last, a color ramp. These are all the nodes that we need for our setup. So our texture coordinate basically gives you different texture coordinate systems that Blender and our materials and objects use. So this time we're going to use a generated one, so we're just going to connect generated to our vector, and I can use Ctrl Shift and click on the node to be able to see exactly what's happening using the node wrangler. It's looking kind of weird, I know, but we're going to fix it. So we're just going to take our mapping and the vector, we're going to connect it to the separate XYZ, and then we see that we have an X gradient, a Y gradient, and a Z gradient, and this is the one that we're going to use for our color. So we're just going to connect again the Z node to our color ramp factor, and let me just organize this real quick. Let's delete the viewer, and then let's just Ctrl Shift click on the color ramp, that way we can visualize it again. So that's the setup for the gradient, and now we can just add the colors using the color ramp. I'm just going to use like a little dark purpley color, and for the top a really dark deep blue. I think that those colors look really nice for skies, and as you can see, it's looking really good. I like to set the interpolation of my color ramp to ease. For me, it looks a little bit better, it blends a little bit better. It might not be that noticeable, but I really like it. And the reason why we added the mapping is because the mapping lets us transform our vectors. And so I can basically move the vector up and down using our C location. And we can move it and make it better, or just adjust it to however you want to. So I'm just going to move it a little bit down to make it a little bit more blue and then less purple, and it's looking really good. So now we just have to combine both our node setups. Again, I'm going to create a frame for all of these nodes using Shift P, and I'm just going to rename it to background. Awesome. So now we're going to mix these two shaders, and the way we're going to do it, yeah, you guessed it, it's with the mix, not shader, but RGB node, and we're just going to connect our color from the stars to the color 1, and then our color from the color ramp to the color 2. And then let me just connect this to the background, connect the background to the surface, and we can see again, and we have stars. It's not done. I like to mix them using the add blending mode, because it just adds the values on top of each other, because our stars are basically black, which is 0, and the stars, which are 1. The 0 is not going to be added, so it's not going to mess with our background color if we set our factor to 1, as it would do with other blending modes. So here we can just retain the original brightness and color and everything from our background without hurting the styles or the background or the look. So there we go. We have set up a really nice starry night background, and you can just keep on adding stuff on it. You can add clouds, you can just go crazy, but this is a really nice setup that you can replicate in 5 minutes or less, and it's a great starting point for creating a really good night sky. So then again, I'm going to leave all the downloads in the description for this project file and for other tutorials. Maybe you can learn how to use a node wrangler. And yeah, let me know what you think. If you have any suggestions, just write them down in the comments, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Bye bye.